I was scammed with this situation last spring. So, spring of 2025, I was held phone captive, I guess you call it, for 3 solid days on my cell phone. I had just moved in 7 days prior, so I had no computer and no iPad, but I did have my cell phone. A phone call came in and it said along the top line, it said public service, and it was a 360 number, which ended in 5800, which I thought maybe was a business, a doctor's office. So I went ahead and answered. Man was on the phone, very agitated. We have a federal warrant for your arrest. You didn't appear for jury duty. You have to hire a lawyer. Do you want a civil trial? You have to post bond. And he did exactly what his job was. He got me just as agitated as he was. And now I'm on the phone crying. I mean, I'm a college educated woman. I've had jobs, I retired after 40 years of working in a variety of sectors, degree in education. But this was a totally unknown world to me. I did not know about this evil underbelly of this scamming. So he decided, he says, I'm going to pass you up to my boss. And then, of course, the boss knows that he's my friend. And I can tell you, it was absolutely phenomenal. These people, there were about 8 men I spoke to over the span of the 3 days on the phone. They were so polished. They all had a slight Southern accent. So wherever it was they were calling from, different age sounding voices, wherever they were calling from, it must have been in one part of the country, is probably what it seemed to be. So he passed me up to the supervisor, and oh, we know you're not guilty. We know that you did not forge your signature on the request for, here we go, jury duty. And you did not forge your signature on the request to come before the judge. But unfortunately, now there's a warrant for your arrest. So we need you to go ahead and help show the courts that you're willing to clear this. And of course, all this money will be reimbursed to you when you see the judge. So that started the whole thing. This was on a Tuesday, I believe. And it went on for 3 days. I could not hang up my phone. I was under house arrest in the evening, but they decided that I wasn't a flight risk, so they didn't have to use one of the ankle bracelets. Like, okay, yeah. So 7 trips to the bank, checking out thousands of dollars in $100 bills. And my first trip was to one of the kiosks, and it was in a very dodgy neighborhood. And of course, they directed me where to go. I really didn't know the neighborhoods I was in. And I walk in and I'm carrying in my purse thousands of dollars in $100 bills. And here's this machine, and they give you a PIN number. And I know, Kay, you had asked about that. Everything is set out. They give you there's 2 sets of numbers they give you, and they only last for 15 minutes. So you have to go in. And so I'm looking at this machine, and there was on this one particular machine, very dirty blue machine. And on the floor, there was a sticker that said, if you've been something about like if you were called by the police or government agency, whatever, this is a scam. So I read this out to the guy on the phone, the scammer, and he said, oh, no, that is just for, what was the wording? I'm trying to think like something, I can't even think of what the word was, sex offenders. I thought, I don't know. He said, no, the government has been using these machines since COVID. It's the way the government transfers money around. So they have all the answers. So again, I'm not doubting. As I said, the whole thing summing this up is that I was uneducated. I don't consider myself foolish. I knew nothing about this world. So I said, I can't do this right now. So I get back in the car. I go, so let us find another machine to send you to where you will feel more comfortable. So new address, I go and find this new machine they send me to. Walk into the store, more of a modern store, and it felt less scary to me. And I stand there with $100 bills, putting this one by one into this machine. And I had to wait for a receipt, which he'd printed out, because this was what I would show the judge to get my money back. So I get back to the car, and now I have a new person on the phone. And he said, oh, good, everything went through. He says, but once we get this first lien or whatever it is against you cleared, he said, we don't know until we run a Washington State something or other. And he said, now we see that the Washington State has a lien against you too. So now I have to give them more money. And I haven't, at the end of these 3 days, I barely eaten or slept in the 3 days that I was on the phone with them. They were on my phone constantly. Even while I was in the bank, they were on my phone. So he said, and this is how to show you how educated they were. The fellow said, "Let's get you home so you can get some nourishment." And he said, "We'll go ahead and kind of figure this out for tomorrow." So the next day happens, which is Wednesday. I go back to the bank again. Now the bank is aware that something's going on. This is my bank and they know me. But because I was under a gag and suppression order, I was not allowed to tell anybody what was going on. So
Mm.
after my 2, 3, 4 visits to the bank, the women who were intuitive to this, they were all women tellers, 2 different banks, well, 2 different branches. They would give me paper. "Are you okay?" And I just said, "I am fine." I'd write back on a little tablet, "Legal issue I'm dealing with," whatever. This went on for the 3 days. It didn't resolve until the end of about 3 o'clock on the third day, when the manager who knows me, she said, "What can we do? What are you afraid of?" And I said, "Arrest." And then I finally wrote for the first time the agency that I was on, the fictitious agency I was on the phone with. She held up her hand and she had the non-urgent local police number, because I was told I'd be arrested by the local police because there was a warrant for my arrest. She called the number. Two police cars showed up 10 minutes later. And at that point, I thought I was going to be arrested. And
Mm.
the first officer walked in and he mouthed the word scam. And at that point, I pretty much almost collapsed. They whisked me into one of the offices away from the main part of the bank. And what's ironic is the police officer, who was a local police officer, his mother was also scammed. So it's so prevalent. It is, and as I have talked to more people, um, it's just absolutely, they are so good at what they do. And the thing is that's scary, they're only going to get better. But if there had been a limit on those machines, if I wasn't standing there with thousands of dollars putting it in and in and in every single $100 bill, if there was a way to prevent that, that would keep me from having lost all that irretrievable money.
Mm.
So it's just, this bill is so important. It's so important to be passed to protect seniors and everybody. I mean, as the only way that I can get through this is by sharing my story, and because I'm mad. I'm mad at what they did to me. There's no way to get my money back. But if there was some kind of protection against any people, any innocent victims, this would not continue. So that's in a nutshell my 3-day story. The hardest piece of it was my son lives in a foreign country and he thought I had been kidnapped because I wasn't able to communicate with him. So it's a very difficult situation and it's so important that this bill be passed. So anyway,
Mm.
I'd be happy if you have questions. I'd be happy to answer them. So